as envisioned by Zen Business.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. Today, we're going to get into something really fascinating.
Yeah.
And that is investing in wildlife.
Right.
And I know that probably sounds a little odd. Why are we talking about investing in wildlife?
Right.
And the truth is, it's not just about, helping cute animals, although, who doesn't love a cute animal?
Oh, yeah,
right?
of course.
But it's really about so much more than that. And we're going to use some information today from the UN to kind of get to the bottom of this, especially their work with World Wildlife Day.
Okay, great.
So let's just dive in. One of the really interesting things, and I think this is something most people don't realize, is that something like 50,000 wild species support billions of people around the world.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so how is that even possible?
So think about it like this. 1/3 of our food crops rely completely on pollinators.
Okay.
Like bees and butterflies. They're really the unsung heroes of our food system.
So you're telling me that like 1 out of every 3 bites of food that I eat is thanks to some kind of animal.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really quite amazing when you think about it. It's easy to overlook these tiny creatures, but they're absolutely essential for our survival.
So it's not just about saving cute animals. It's about safeguarding things like our food supply, our whole food system.
You got it. It's all connected.
Right.
And the UN, they've done a lot of research on this, and they really highlight that over half of global GDP actually depends on nature.
Half of global GDP. That's wild.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about like a small amount of money.
Right.
We're talking trillions and trillions of dollars here.
Yeah, we're talking trillions of dollars. And it makes sense when you think about it. These diverse ecosystems, they provide us with everything from food to fuel, medicines, building materials. Even inspiration for our art and music and stories.
Okay, so food, fuel, medicine, materials, inspiration. But what about more essential things like air and water?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Ecosystems play a huge role in regulating our climate. They purify our air and water, and they even offer us incredible recreational opportunities, like hiking and camping and all that good stuff.
So all of this is telling me that if we mess up nature, we're also messing up the global economy.
You got it. Losing nature is jeopardizing the global economy, which in turn impacts jobs, prices, even the stability of entire countries.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Imagine a world where we didn't have clean water or we didn't have fertile soil. That'd be pretty catastrophic.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the UN report makes a really strong case about how important all this is. But I have a question for you. Are we doing enough to protect all this?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, the answer is probably not. There's a massive funding gap in our conservation efforts right now.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the UN estimates that we need about $824 billion each year for effective biodiversity protection.
$824 billion.
Yeah.
Every year.
Every year. But currently, we're only investing about $143 billion.
Whoa, okay, so $824 billion needed. Only $143 billion actually invested. So that's a difference of almost $700 billion.
That's right.
Every single year. Where does that $824 billion figure even come from?
Well, it represents the estimated cost of effectively managing protected areas, tackling issues like poaching and the illegal wildlife trade, and of course, restoring ecosystems that have already been degraded.
Okay, so if we don't have enough funding, does that mean that habitat loss and species extinction are going to continue?
Well, unfortunately, yeah. Without sufficient funding, habitat loss and species extinction will likely continue at alarming rates, which of course weakens the natural systems that we depend on for survival.
Okay, so it's like a domino effect. We don't protect the wildlife. We don't have the systems that we need to survive.
It's all connected. Protecting wildlife isn't just about saving animals. It's about protecting ourselves. It's all part of the same equation.
Okay, so this all sounds a little bit doom and gloom. $700 billion every year. That seems like a lot.
It is a big number. But, I am optimistic. I think there's a growing movement to address this funding gap.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot of people working on this, and there's a lot of momentum building.
Can you give us an example?
Absolutely. A great example is the 2025 theme for World Wildlife Day, which is Wildlife Conservation Finance, Investing in People and Planet.
Wildlife Conservation Finance.
Yeah.
Investing in People and Planet. Okay, break that down for me.
Sure. So this theme is all about finding innovative solutions that benefit both people and wildlife.
Okay, I like that. A win-win.
Exactly.
But how do you actually do that?
Well, there are a lot of different approaches, but one really cool example is the snow leopard microreserve in Kyrgyzstan's Tian Shan Mountains.
Okay, so snow leopard microreserve.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
So basically, the villagers there partnered with a local organization to create a protected area, which has actually led to increased snow leopard and wild goat populations.
So the snow leopards and wild goats are doing better. But how does this benefit the people who live there?
Well, that's the beauty of it. It's a win-win situation. The community benefits from new economic opportunities.
Like what?
Well, for example, they have guest houses now. They're making cheese. They're selling felt souvenirs.
So tourists come to see the snow leopards, and they spend money in the village.
Exactly.
And that money helps support the community and protect the snow leopards.
It's a virtuous cycle.
I like it. But can we really scale this? I mean, this is just one village.
That's a good question. And it's definitely a challenge, but I think it shows that it's possible to create sustainable systems that support both people and wildlife.
So we're not just talking about charity. We're talking about creating sustainable systems that benefit everyone.
Yeah.
That sounds great. But how do we move from isolated success stories like this snow leopard thing to a global shift in how we finance conservation?
Well, that's where the UN's post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework comes in.
The UN's what?
The post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. Okay. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's basically a roadmap for transforming how we interact with nature with ambitious goals, like restoring degraded ecosystems, reducing pollution, and tackling invasive species.
So it's kind of like a big plan for how to fix things.
You could say that. It's definitely a step in the right direction.
It sounds like it. So it seems like we've learned a lot today. We learned that wildlife is crucial for our well-being and for the economy. We learned that we're facing a massive funding gap when it comes to protecting wildlife. But we also learned that there are innovative solutions out there, like the Snow Leopard Project, that offer a path forward. So it's not all doom and gloom. There's hope.
Absolutely.
And that's a good thing. So what can our listeners do? What small changes can they make in their daily lives to support wildlife conservation?
I think that's a great question to leave our listeners with.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's being more conscious of their consumer choices, or maybe it's supporting organizations that are doing good work, or maybe it's something else entirely. The point is, even small actions can have a ripple effect. And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg, so we encourage you to explore this topic further. Look into organizations that are working to protect biodiversity, or delve deeper into the UN's Global Biodiversity Framework. The more we understand,